Dignitas has actually been looking really, really strong lately. Whether they win or lose, they're one of those teams that can honestly beat anybody right now, but they can also lose to anybody. They're kind of like that wild card. It's the team I kind of don't really want to face out of everyone else in the league.
Welcome back to the North American LCS. Something we've actually heard Link say in previous interviews as well. If it's any team that's going to beat them just kind of randomly, it's going to be Dig, because they always pull out those wild moves. Wild and crazy kids they are. So let's get to our first matchup. Team Solo Mid versus Dignitas. Kobe, after 3 weeks out of the mid lane, out of the gaming house, and even out of the country, Bjergsen shows manning the mid lane is just like riding a bike.
Yeah, I mean, first game back in the saddle, Bjergsen had a solid game as Zed in TSM's win over XDG. What's most impressive is that after missing 6 games, he's still second in the league for total kills. He's only been 5 kills behind Wild Turtle, who currently has 114 himself.
And so far this split, TSM has had Dig's number, going 3-0 against them.
Yeah, Dignitas ended yesterday sharing 4th place with Cursed after a hard-fought loss. They had some early game trouble, but were able to sort of stall Curse's momentum by continually chasing them away from Baron. In the end, though, it wasn't enough, and with each loss, the pressure is mounting for them to turn it around.
So let's get right to it. Check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's Team Solo Mid. It's going to be Dyrus in the top lane, Oddone in the jungle, Bjergsen back in that mid lane, Wild Turtle at 80 carry, and Xpecial at support.
And on the red side, it's Dignitas. Cruisers up top, Crumbs is in the jungle, mid is Skara, then Cutie Pie and Kiwi Kid, AD and support respectively. He's got his head down to the grindstone, working hard.
Everybody's kind of just mellowed out. It seems like they were laughing a bit. Dignitas seems to be in good spirits right now coming into this one. Definitely going to have to be a game where the lanes are won. Playing against Cloud9 or TSM, as they are about to now, from Champion Select, in those first few minutes of the laning phase are really where TSM is going to take the entire game.
Yeah, I think Crumbs is definitely a crucial part for Dignitas in this game, especially because he controls so much of the early game with his ability to counter gank and get the lanes going. And then also in the late game, he's the one making the high pressure calls and the high pressure Baron smites, which have been extremely important in Dignitas' wins and losses.
Skara's Gragas being banned out. A pretty good play on that so far. We're going to see what TSM has in store for Dignitas' bans for the rest of the way, though. They could really put a hurting on these lanes with whatever they get for the first pick. Going for a few junglers here, and we'll see what Dignitas answers with.
Yeah, very standard bans so far. I'd have to say, you know, starting off with mid lane bans, Bjergsen's gone wild with LeBlanc several times. Gragas is standard against Skara. And then coming through to the jungle for the second picks. Elise is always strong, and Kha'Zix is a new favorite for pretty much everybody right now, with the changes to his ultimate, making him both an assassin and also a semi-tank.
Lulu grabbed up pretty quick there. Not locked in just yet. Kassadin and Nidalee will be the last ones banned out. They do not like that Nidalee from Bjergsen. It can still be an impact play. See that Lulu locked in, and Cruiser, are they really they're gonna leave their Renekton wide open and lock into Shyvana Annie immediately.
Yeah, they've really been putting a lot of priority on this Annie pick, actually, for Kiwi Kid here. And it looks like they've not strayed away from that strategy, trying to get him going early to sort of rotate around and make some big plays. They really rely on Kiwi Kid for a lot of their engages.
Whenever that flash is up, he'll definitely use it to get into the fight. Lately, he has been behind. Those lanes get hit up quickly. Cutie Pie locks in the Quinn to go along with that Annie, adding a little bit more front-end burst from an 80 carry.
Yeah, very interesting. Yes, Sivir brings team mobility towards the late game. Quinn has mobility for herself, though. So we'll have to see how Cutie Pie is able to utilize this Quinn. In lane, it's pretty good. You know, as an 80 carry, you have a blind yourself. That's always a great matchup. But that paired with Annie actually has a lot of burst potential as well. You know, she brings her own execute to the party, and that level 6 is pretty scary. On the side of TSM, though, they've always got the threat of the Evelynn. As long as Odd One does not reveal himself, pretty much the entire map has to play a little safer.
Waiting to see what Xpecial locks in. He's been able to keep himself to 3 champions all season so far. That Annie, that Leona, and that Thresh. Somehow, either one he gets, he just does amazing on. He's waiting for this one. I don't think he's going to be too unhappy with that pick.
Yeah.
Very good Leona.
I think he's pretty well suited for this matchup because Kiwi Kid usually builds a lot of speed on his Annie. As I said, Dignitas rely on Kiwi Kid for the initiation for their team, so he always builds mobility boots and talisman pretty early. That leaves him open to all-ins very early on in the game. So Leona, if they can actually get an engage and lock him down with Evelyn ganking there, then they could just kill Kiwi Kid.
Dyrus said it coming into this. Dignitas, that wild card. What are they going to be doing with this composition? So far, it looks like they're holding steady. 20 seconds on the clock is the amount of when they have to have every champion switched about. So
yeah,
everybody has the knowledge.
Crumbs does utilize Kale in solo queue fairly often as a jungler, so he's definitely at home on this champion. And it's kind of a throwback. We haven't seen it in professional play in a long time, but it is a pretty strong jungler, and he's definitely very comfortable on it. Saw him practicing it actually the other day in solo queue. So Dignitas bringing out a couple new strategies here, utilizing both Quinn and Kale.
It'll be quite interesting. Let's check in with the vote right now, crunch some numbers, and then we'll talk a little bit more about these comps. According to LOL Esports, as you can see, 91% of the fans of TSM giving them that vote.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of last-minute votes for Dignitas, though, just from people wanting to see Cutie Pie succeed on Quinn here. Now, Quinn, she does go fairly close to the danger when she goes bird form there with Valor. So I like that they added so many shields with their Kale jungle and Orianna mid. They've got a lot of utility that whoever's getting focused down, they can actually shore up their defenses. And even if it is Kiwi Kid having to put all his money into speed, then they've got extra stings to save him as well. So whatever point is getting focused for Dignitas, they can play reactively. And I'm glad that it's actually Crumbs with the Kale because he's very quick. His mechanics are extremely strong, and that's where all the power of Kale comes from. It's predictive shields that actually block damage rather than just shielding someone who's already low and allowing them to run away from the fight.
Used to those high-intensity moments. He's got the fingers from the Lee Sin play. He knows what's going on. Have to see what this composition brings to light for Dignitas. Mentioning again that Dyrus said Dig is that wild card. We'll see how much of that they can play this game. Coming out, we got Targon's in the bottom lane.
Yeah, because the bottom lane here from TSM obviously wants to shove as quickly as possible. Pretty much all Sivir lanes do, and especially paired with Leona, they're going to look for the early level 2. So Sivir probably going to start that Ricochet, make use of the early Targon, executes. Meanwhile, this Dignitas team comp here, they not only have a good team fight, but they also have the ability to split push with Quinn. Quinn can actually get from one of the side lanes over to a mid lane team fight quicker than pretty much any other AD carry. Sivir would actually be the closest match to her. But we'll have to see if Cutie Pie can get a good early start. If they can get Quinn going early, then he can actually start to split push against this team.
Becomes a big factor. Again, it's going to play in as well as we have not seen Quinn in quite some time. So probably means Wild Turtle and the rest of the team hasn't played against that many Quinns. Maybe Cutie Pie's Quinn, so that blind may take effect. We'll see that coming into some very, very intense fights. Dyrus hanging out in the top lane. No more cleavers to be dodged, so it's real quiet in that top lane recently.
It's always pretty quiet here in the beginning. That's why I like to talk about stats during the river. And TSM are definitely one of my favorite points for those. This time we're looking at the all-time kills record, though, which is currently held by Mandatory Cloud from last year. But the two players that are closest to taking that are Turtle and Bjergsen, both on TSM. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit later here. We have Lil Late Invade. Both teams actually thinking the same thing here. It's a little bit reactive from TSM, so Odd One will be a few steps behind Crumbs, but not too bad. They're actually just warding up that blue.
We'll see where they go from this. Looks like we're going to get a quick pause on the game. Wild Turtle's going to get himself reconnected into that. So we see Dignitas doing a bit of what we had CLG doing to EG yesterday, a quick invade on that top side, and so far a lane swap with Quinn and Annie in the top lane.
Yeah, swapping out the Quinn. They're going to ensure that Cutie Pie does have a good early game here. So maybe they are going to try and make use of his late game speed and ability to traverse the map. Now, we can't talk about those stats for Turtle, though, since we have a lot of time here. He's the closest. He needs 54 kills in the remainder of this split to take Mandatory Cloud's record. But Bjergsen would almost be more impressive if he could do it, because he missed 6 games, having missed 6 games, he still only needs 59 more kills. And on average, that would be 8.4 per game, which is pretty hard to do. But it is conceivable. So if Bjergsen could actually take away Meteor Cloud's all-time kill record, having missed 6 games, that would be extremely impressive.
Maybe you have to be a little team help there, dishing him the ball every time
yeah,
he's under.
They might do some cheeky stuff to lay out the end of the game, try and get some fountain kills or something, try and feed it to him.
Maybe a quadra kill in Italy, Spirit of the Fountain. I don't know. Could happen again. It's Bjergsen. So waiting for him to get back in. Wild Turtle with a slight particle bug, so he's going to reconnect. But already we see the odd one. Now it's coming in second game in a row in Evelyn. He played it yesterday. Played quite well. We'll see how he does now without a blue buff. If he can't get over to that one in time, if Crumbs decides to go down and still get help from the duo on the top, he can be all right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to answer with his own blue buff steal. Because they did a 2-versus-1 lane swap, even if Crumbs went down to his blue, there's nobody to help him there.
Right.
So Odd One should definitely be heading over to the Dignitas side and taking that blue buff. He's got the extra support there with his double lane down bottom. This is pretty standard answer for having your blue buff stolen this early, but he's getting very low. He's definitely going to need Xpecial's help if he does go over for that blue.
Yeah, they got a bit more vision on the blue buff going over at Xpecial. Looks like he's starting to hover towards the top side. We see Cruiser is not in the bottom lane, so they have to wonder where he is, trying to soak up experience in the jungle because he's not going to be doing too much melee range right now in lane. This is going to be up for Odd One. That should be fine for them, and we'll go back to being normal here.
Yeah, so Renekton and Shyvana are both pretty good at jungling. Shyvana definitely has a little bit of an edge, and since Dignitas knew this was coming, Cruiser got a little bit of a leg up on Dyrus, but he gets into position here. He's going to try and soak up experience from this Tribush here, but QtPie knows what he's thinking and wards it up with his trinket. Very good job by them so that they can zone Dyrus from every little bit of experience. You can see the only reason Dyrus is hovering around here, he wants to barely get in range as soon as that minion dies.
So the 2v1 obviously doesn't give Odd One much to do on Eve, but be in that bottom lane with the team. Turret for turret going down here in the early part of the game as Dignitas calls the swap. They're going to try to run with it.
Yeah, so not only are they able to neutralize Evelyn's early jungle, which is this pretty standard reaction to an Evelyn jungle, trying to get those 2-versus-1s so you can see her on the map, but they also ensure that Crumbs has a good early jungle with Kale, and Kale definitely excels a little bit later, so they're happy with this one. Also, Kale is ranged, so even if Dyrus shows up, he'll have a very, very hard time trying to defend turrets, and that's why he's just hovering around the outside, as we said, trying to soak up EXP.
A little bit quicker on the side of TSM, and Dig's going to need about one more wave. They got to push down this siege wave that's coming at him right now, and they'll be good to go. Mid lane hasn't seen too much action. Scar has been able to find a bit more farm, and he's keeping the wave in the middle of the lane, actually.
That's very surprising that Bjergsen is down that CS right now. All right, Dyrus trying to make his last stand here and save the turret. It looks like they might be able to do it because Turtle has already recalled. TSM come
should
out
not have happened.
A tower ahead. Now, a lot of it is due to the reduced damage on the first turret that made Dignitas take a bit longer. And Dig, usually when they do these switches, they have Jinx instead. Quinn not quite as strong of a tower shover early, and it does cost them. That extra global gold of the second turret not going down is a great advantage for TSM. Now we'll see if they can reposition for the early dragon, because that's kind of the next early objective that people usually try and change when they do make exchanges like this. But with Turtle hovering around Dyrus up there, it looks like they do not care about that bottom side of the map.
We see Kiwi Kid coming towards the mid lane right now. It looks like he can't offer too much. He pings out. He's going for a ward. He's saying, cover my butt so I'm not killed. Looks like he will be safe for the time being as well. 6 minutes in now. Every time we see these turrets get pushed, the team slow down a little bit. They start to regroup, and it's really going to be, if anybody can pick someone off before the dragon fight.
Yeah, a really big part of why these games always slow down after the turrets is because there's so much map area that's open because all the turrets are down, but there's no vision for either team because it was all on their first base. Nobody had the time to buy any wards, and it were just trinket wards. So with the entire map dark but so many possibilities, everybody plays very cautiously. And as I said, TSM looks like they didn't really care about the early dragon. It is worth noting that it doesn't give that much gold. This early on in the game, it'll have to take a little while to scale up due to the average champion level in the game. but it is a little bit more for Dignitas and does actually even up that deficit that they were holding because of the extra turret.
It was a good move. That turret also sits in the top lane ready to be taken down, so a little bit of gold when they need it for the top laner. Only 100, 200 gold as it ticks up in favor of TSM right now, as the odd one knows presence needs to be in the bottom lane, getting pushed into the turret, so they look to stop this from going down, as well as just kind of Crumbs have no ganks to the other lanes. He's going to have to sit here.
Yeah, TSM pretty happy about at least getting that giant wave built up, though. That's a big part of doing the early pushes, is controlling the wave where you leave it. You don't want to let your enemies freeze that early wave deep in their territory, because when everyone's still level 4, it's extremely dangerous to get that deep in enemy territory. TSM, though, they should try and make use of their giant wave. Whenever you do sort of just last hit minions, your wave builds up very nicely, and then you want to call as many champion resources up to that wave and try and make use of it. You can see they called Bjergsen. He roamed up top, so they're able to make use of that giant amount of ranged minions that Wild Turtle was able to build up while slowly last hitting.
Yep, Wild Turtle by himself in that top lane. We just saw Special in the bottom helping out Dyrus, so they couldn't take that. If that was 3v1 versus Dyrus, that turret would be down as well. So TSM is really moving, helping each other out in every lane. It's working out very good so far. 8 minutes in, they haven't found themselves a kill, but they're getting all the pressure to lead to the victory so far.
And for everybody who's a fan of the Quinn here from Cutie Pie, is maxing that Blinding Assault first. So that's the Q for the extra damage for the poke on that Quinn.
He's not doing too bad in lane. He's down about 15 CS. Wild Turtle's been able to really push that top lane, not getting the second turret. Hurt him a little bit on the side of Dignitas, and it looks like top's going to go down with the next wave present. Cruiser could not do much about that lane. Wild Turtle's already 6 there, and he's going to get Special back to lane for the turret.
Yeah, it looks like TSM going to increase their map control here. They already have 1 turret ahead. Giving up that dragon, not a big deal to them. They get even more territory to work with. And you can see how they have actually invested in the early vision. Even though it is a larger proportion of their current gold that they have to spend on that, they've done so, and they got a few deep wards here. Cruiser's in position, though, and Crumbs on Kale just hit level 6. So he's definitely ready to go for any 2 versus 2 fights. Kale extremely strong in 2 versus 2 situations once she does get her ult.
It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot of ramp up coming in for Dignitas, and hopefully they can get there with Crumbs, Scara, Kiwi Kid's power to come out in just a bit. But that's going to be a lot of AP, and we'll see if TSM has had the time to mitigate that damage by, I don't know, I'd say it'd be 25 minutes when those fights are going to start. Right now it's a 1,000 gold lead for TSM. We saw they weren't worried about that first dragon, and the next one will be in 5 or so minutes. So they got a little time.
It's an interesting
2 minutes,
move from TSM here. They're sending all their resources towards the bottom side because they just took this top turret, and Shyvana up top, Cruiser, he's just trying to freeze this wave. He's just slowly last hitting. They've sent everyone down bottom to try and get a bush gank on Cutie Pie here. The ult from Dyrus, pretty early.
He might have the on the hunt speed, but it's not as much as he thought. Forces the flash from Cutie Pie, so
Dyrus
that'll be
has
easy
flash
to come back.
if he can get in range, but not close enough.
Not going to be it. A good chase, though. They push Cutie out of lane. They're going to have presence down there as well. And really nothing else to worry about except for minions coming down the wave. All they have to do is take that out. 82 for Bjergsen, 81 right now for Turtle.
Cruiser, seeing all this aggression down bottom, should be switching modes right now. He was just last hitting slowly. He should probably switch it up and try and shove the wave so that he can even out the balance of power on the map bottom side, or else TSM will gain control. And you can see he does there. Okay, now he's trying to get some extra gold from the double golems.
Really Dignitas trying to regroup and figure out how they can get back at Team Solo Mid. Odd one being on Eve. They already don't know where he is, and he hasn't even had a huge impact in the fight. If anything starts to go wrong or TSM doesn't find the initiation they want, they just start having him coming in from the side.
Yeah, Odd one is actually an Evelynn player that does really like to farm up early. And he likes to come in when he already has his ultimate and get some very potent early ganks off with his Agony's Embrace. He'll usually look for kills on the duo lane with his first activation of that ultimate because he can slow both members and try and get something there. But this time around, Yeah. Classic.
Oh.
There's no way you're going to get that. It's just a slow on Scar, so he's safe.
He would have flashed it. Would have been completely safe, even if they went hard. Seeing what he can do to stay in the mid lane. He is down in CS now. Bjergsen was able to get that back for himself, pushing with the Glitter Lance as Dyrus stays top, but he's not top in CS. Cruiser getting 70 to his 59 there with what happened in the lane swap, and now everybody trying to regroup. And that's, I believe, I'd say the first time, even with the swap or without a swap, that Cruiser's going to be beating him, and we'll see how it plays out into the later part of the game.
All right, so Dragon Timer for Dig. They're ready for this. They actually came a little bit early, and TSM very well aware of what the Dig plan is. So we might get to see this first team fight. Now, not only is Scar's Shockwave going to be very crucial to their team fight victory here for Dig if they're able to come out on top, but also the Crumbs Kale ulti. See how much damage he can actually block with that. Because they're already starting off this dragon. Oh my god!
Oh, he almost hits the entire team with the stun, but he gets a force slow. Cruiser from the backside. Crumbs having to use his own intervention, saves himself for a bit, but it's a double kill coming in for the odd one. They start tearing apart Dignitas at the dragon pit, and Cruiser's going to be the last one to go down. A clean ace for Team Solo Mid.
Well, that's too bad for Dignitas. TSM just came and crushed them. This is why TSM were always known as the early dragon fighting team. This solar flare from Xpecial, my god, he just starts it up. By the time Crumbs gets out of stun lock, he's at 100 HP, and he has to panic use the Kale ulti on himself. As I said before, you're always trying to block damage with that. When he has to panic ult himself when he's almost already dead, they aren't able to get anything out about it. And Dignitas, with the team fight on the back foot, they get aced plus the dragon. Giant swing for TSM. They've really got a huge handle on this game now, and it's really up to them to increase vision now. They have to decide which buff they want to control. I definitely favor the blue side of the map because it is a very important buff for this Dignitas team.
Right. Having
both Orianna and Kale on their team, they really need it for sustained pushes.
Yeah. They had the wards for that fight, just were not ready for TSM to act that fast. 4 wards sit around the dragon right now, but very good ultimate from Xpecial. Hasn't been on Leona in a few weeks or so, but makes it count still. 14 minutes into this one, 5-0. Those are the first 5 kills of the game after First Blood came in, or 4 kills I should say then, but 23,000 to 17.9. And it's not looking good for Dig. They're going to have to get something very big here.
It is not. They were all grouped up. I mean, in a matter of seconds, TSM, they get off the Solar Flare, they get off the Agony's Embrace from Odd One, and they get a great AoE Glitter Lance. There's so much that came down in this short period of time from TSM. And in a blink of an eye, Dignitas already really have a big hole to climb out of.
Spirit of the Spectral Wraith going out over to Crumbs. Haven't seen that Kale in a while, but that's what he needs in his build right now to get himself around. That's what you usually see anyways. 4-1 in turrets as TSM makes the map that much darker for Dignitas, continuing to take down anything that would give them back the game. Looks like Bjergsen's going to be safe. They always said you're never going to 1v1 the mid laner, and it's true about this one. Odd One waiting in the wing once again.
Yeah, he's got his eyes set. Not only Odd One, but Turtle as well.
Agony's Embrace on the Dragon's Descent. The Solar Flare again. Waiting on that one. He wasn't going too fast, but still dead on.
Yeah, Xpecial's been definitely on point with his ulti so far. Dyrus trying to do the same thing here, hold the bottom turret. He's also in danger of being dove. Kiwi Kid trying to charge up his stun here. He does have Tibbers available. And we talked about the burst from Quinn. You don't expect it a lot of times, having not played against him in a while.
He's trying to take it. That turret's going to help him out a lot. He knows what he can do in this situation. Got to watch out for the Tibbers aggro, though. He holds it for a while, really just wasting a good amount of time.
They don't go all in for it. They just take the global objective. But PewDiePie a little greedy here, trying to shove one more wave. You can't really do that against the mobile Lulu. Keeps on speed buffing herself. Bjergsen should be able to land a slow here.
That wasted time could definitely be in their favor. He gets himself some vision, tries to go for the ulti, hits in onto Bjergsen. You see that front end burst from Quinn that probably would have taken down Dyrus, but it was well played.
Yeah, they don't have the ward coverage to be able to do that. You know, getting another wave like that A little bit greedy there. Good rotation from Bjergsen. TSM, they've been on point. They've been very decisive. All the important skill shots landing for them. Special definitely deserves some praise.
This was going to be a tough game for Dig coming out, especially, TSM having that first pick. No matter what went into their hands, it would have tilted this game a little bit. TSM would have used that to get an even bigger advantage. 17 minutes in, all they needed really was some good start on what happened in the 2v1 swap called by Dignitas, and they're 7-0.
And historically, this matchup, right now in this split, it's 3-0 in TSM's favor. The last 3 games they've won. Actually, all of the matchups today are 3-0 in favor of one of the teams or the other. So really, we're waiting for one of these upsets. This game so far, though, does not look to be one of those upsets.
TSM setting up in the top side of the jungle.
Oh, they go for a play here.
They put quite a bit onto Bjergsen. They got to know Wild Grove. They'll save it for the time being, and they're forced out of the fight immediately. The Solar Flare locks down. Skara gets intervention, but he's going down. Xpecial could catch a Zenith Blade onto QtPie, but it's not going to happen. He gets out, and they just stave off the fight. Now it's going for the turret, but under the turret, they don't even care that it's there. Dyrus is the first one to slice and dice in. He is taking full turret aggro. The 5th shot to go on him, and he's got to back out. Onto Xpecial now, but they don't care. They have the micromanagement to get in and out and get 2 kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a massacre, but you can't really fault Dig for trying that. It's so dangerous for them to try and go out and get vision to get safe picks. So when they see someone out of position like that, it's kind of a desperate move. You kind of got to go for that play. They used everything, and TSM were there to turn it around. They've got complete coverage of the entire map here for TSM. Really have a stranglehold, and it's really up to Dignitas just to try and make those desperate plays to get a little window here. Little claps from the crowd as they at least fight back as far as vision wars are concerned.
They're trying to get what they can.
Whoa.
Dragon in 14 seconds. This is going to be a very big fight. If you can put that shockwave onto Tibbers, having Crumbs come in there with the AoE damage and Dragon's Descent, there is a lot of damage that could turn this around in a fight.
And they have gotten the all-important bush on the backside of Red warded. That's really important for those Baron baits. We've seen many teams lose their lives trying to get into that bush, trying to ward it. Dignitas have conquered it, but man, the blue buff, this is very hard for Dig. It's pretty much going to have to be a straight steal from them if they do come out with this one.
Full defensive mode. You can't be worrying about the blue buff. They're going to have to definitely be worrying about their turrets. This will be taken up. Pink ward's going to be cleared as well, and TSM just starts to take full control and put themselves in the driver's seat here 20 minutes into the game. Still a shutdown on kills. They've lost themselves 2 turrets, but that was only the early rush of the game. TSM has controlled everything from there on out.
Yeah, and Dignitas have changed everybody almost except for QtPie over to sweepers. So they're more worried about TSM's vision in their side of the jungle than they are about finding out for themselves what TSM are doing. If they were more worried about, uh-oh, never mind. They catch Xpecial and they go for it.
Oh, this could be pretty big. He gets down the damage. There's not going to be enough damage, though. Level 9 Xpecial is too tanky for the entire team. They put Crumbs out. That could be the intervention.
Wow.
He doesn't have it to use. He doesn't even use it, actually, on himself. QtPie is getting shots on the outside, but is it going to be enough? Bjergsen with the follow, forces the flash there on the right. 4 people are running away from just Bjergsen with the rest of the team on his heels because he can make it happen, he can keep the fight going, and he can bring up more kills for the rest of the team. QtPie makes it out alive.
Yeah, so the reason Crumb's not using the ulti there is because he was CC'd. Like, you get stun locked. This is the counterplay to Kale. Is because she builds very squishy and a lot of damage, if you can lock her up with CC and not give her the time to pop her ulti off, then he's going to go down very easily. But Crumbs, when he sees the circle on the ground of the Solar Flare, he should probably just preemptively ult himself, just so it's on there to try and block some damage. But, he saves the cooldown. He does not try and ult himself, and that's definitely the end of the team fight here. Bjergsen being able to chase everybody down. One of the bonuses of a AP Lulu, you get a whole bunch of extra speed for late game chases if you are this far ahead.
Well, TSM did lose one, 13-1 now. They're starting to scrape back in that gold. That was a good kill going actually over to Xpecial, so it's not even really a shutdown. There's 9 assists there, but it's not exactly what they need. They need to be taking out the power hitters and grabbing those objectives. It's 40,000 to 27.6 right now.
Yeah.
Clean lead for Team Solo Mid. It's the rest of the turrets that's keeping them away from the Nexus. They just got to choose which lane.
Yeah, TSM definitely bringing a hurting here to dig. Going to be very difficult for them to survive any longer. Purple buffs up for TSM. They look to group and end this one fairly early. Now, we saw a lot of one-sided games yesterday as well, that the team that was ahead did not really decisively end the games all the time. You know, they were a little bit lazy, I was thinking yesterday, with their execution of the end game here. But TSM not looking to mess around. They want to end this one very quickly.
They've got the push going on to the inhibitor.
There they go.
Oh, wow. A nice solar flare right between Cutie Pie and Scar. It's going to lock them up for some pretty good damage from the rest of the team following in. Kiwi Kid's going to go down here. One more hate spike coming from the odd one as they chase Dignitas out of their own base.
Cruiser, last man alive, running for the hills. No chance.
Cannot protect his gold. They'll be able to get into the cave. The base is wide open, 18-1, 22.5 minutes into the game. The timers are really only at 30 seconds, but it looks like TSM may have a chance to close this one out.
But can they find the ring in there, Kriv?
I don't
know. Got all the gold. All right, this is going to be TSM going Nexus turrets. Nice, very quick game from them. My goodness, 18-1, 23 minutes.
Very strong. The picks to come out. Lulu, one of the strongest mids right now. Dyrus is Renekton. Something he's played over and over again. One of his highest plays here. So for TSM to get these high tier picks for themselves meant the early game was easily going to be in their favor.
Yeah, it looks like round 2 here. Actually, everybody on Dig is up, but Nexus turrets are even weaker than inhibitor ones when there's only a single one standing here. TSM can look to finish.
Oh, the flash! One more coming in. Bjergsen going crazy on the end. No, a wild growth on a slicing and dicing Dyrus. And it looks like they get a few more kills off of that one. Crumbs and Cruiser running for the fountain for a little bit of solace, but it's not going to be enough as the Nexus goes down. Oh, Crumbs is still actually out there. Turtle's going to be able to take him down. The Nexus at half health and just under 24 minutes. Here our first game of day 2 going to Team Solo Mid.
And the teams at the top of the standings in North America have been really showing that they deserve to be at the top of the standings. So far this weekend, everybody who's expected to win the games coming in have done so.
No game is taken lightly. Very strong coordination off of the 2v1 split. They got odd one to the bottom. After losing his blue buff right away, it didn't really affect him because he didn't have to go to lanes and gank. So it almost played into the hands of Team Solo Mid that he was able to sit in lane and soak up the experience he would have lost from camps. And himself back in action like riding a bike. Didn't even need the training wheels.
Man, he had 12 kills ending that game. So Bjergsen is on track for that record. That was over the average that he needed to get per game going forward for the rest of the season. So Bjergsen is looking to take Mandori Cloud's all-time kill record, having even missed 6 of the normal season games.
That's kind of crazy that it's that consistent. And when you look at TSM's KDA, it's crazy as well. You put it up to another team and you'd be like, yeah, top lane. 2 KDA. It sounds pretty normal. The top laner dives in. He dies sometimes. And then you look at Dyrus, and it's like 6.50. And you're like, wait a minute. And then you look down to odd one. It's like 5.7. Another jungler is 1.7. And you're like, the whole team gives each other kills. They're all working together.
And as we said, they weren't messing around either. They weren't like drawing out the game to try and get more super fed and like get all these items. 20 minutes, they're heading in for the inhibitor turrets. And
the mentality comes really as well from Reginald, being the coach. Reginald's play, he was at 6.14 in his games. Bjergsen comes back at 6.5 KDA. So even in the time that Reggie had to play, he was right where the team was playing with Bjergsen before Bjergsen left. So the whole entire team is, you cannot beat a team that the gears are running that strong.
They did not have a chance after the early game for that game especially. And Dignitas probably hurting, after this weekend. They're definitely going to have to regroup because they've had a couple of tough losses.
Yep, they're going to be falling with that into 5th. Curse takes their own sole possession of 4th on that. Team Solo Mid staying in 1st. And I don't think they're going anywhere different anytime soon.
That may have been the one game this weekend, I guess, when the higher team didn't actually win. Curse actually taking down Dignitas down a notch.
That's
we'll
true.
Have to see. Curtis do have a game coming up against Coast later today, and we'll see if they can continue their success.
And that was a tough game. You got to give it to Dig. They went for Quinn. They went for Kale in the jungle. They knew they needed to do something different and try to throw TSM off their game, try to get their comfort level off. But with them getting Lulu, getting Renekton, odd one on Eve again, even though he may like the farm, it still works out well for the team.
Worked out pretty well.
Remember to share your favorite moments from today's games by tweeting us at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS Big Plays. And for more on TSM's win, let's throw it over to Jat and Freak at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. Hey, guys, we're joined by TSM's bottom lane, Special and Wild Turtle here in the desk with us. So, guys, rapid win.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah. You expecting the game to go that convincingly?
Game.
No, we didn't expect that. We were a bit surprised by Quinn pick. We were all like, whoa, what the?
Yeah.
And, I mean, I give props to Dignitas for trying out something new. But, I mean, sometimes stuff doesn't work out. And this is one of those cases where we kind of had this period game plan going in, and we executed really well. And, that one fight, 5-for ace at Dragon, pretty much GG.
Yeah, Turtle, as a AD carry player yourself, what do you think of the Quinn pick? What does it bring to the game?
Because he picked Quinn, I thought he was going to 2v2 bottom because Quinn's actually really good for the laning phase.
Yeah.
And I think Quinn actually beats Sivir too because she has like the E, which does a lot of damage. And then, I was like really thrown off, and I thought they were going to 2v2 with that, but they went 2v1. So I guess that helped us because Sivir scales better.
Yeah, so you guys actually managed to do a whole bunch throughout the early laning phase. You actually managed to get 2 turrets. They only got 1. Like, you guys timed that whole thing really well. What was the communication? Were you trying to get a 2-for-1 turrets, or was Autumn just like, it'll go back?
Every time we go bottom, we're expecting to get 2 turrets all the time because the first turret's really easy to get, and the second turret's even easier. Not even easier, but it's like not that hard to get. And for top lane, it's really hard to get the first one. So we knew that the second one would be a lot harder to get because the wave would be a lot smaller, so we could just send like Eve back a bit earlier.
And that worked out really well for you guys.
Yeah, and then the game kind of took a different turn at the Dragon fight. It was going so-so, and then just all of a sudden it seemed like it was over. We can actually get this Dragon fight up on the screen. X-Special, talk to me. How many things went right in this fight, and why did it go so one-sidedly 5-0?
So we all grouped up on the top side, and you can see here they don't have much vision, only this ward rush. And we got rid of the pink ward, and so pretty much the big idea is that, I just landed a good solar flare on 2 of them, forces their flash, Kill had to ult himself, and our team just, we weren't grouped up for AoE too much. I got hit, Tor got hit a little bit, but overall, we didn't take much AoE. They took a lot. We initiated on them. We had Eve. We had the better AoE fight, and as long as we get engaged, we will definitely win. Whereas if they dive, like say with Shyvana, and with the Oriole and the Annie, then they're going to win because they can have the kill to help Shyvana survive. But since that wasn't the case, and Kale had nobody to really, we weren't focusing one target, made Kale's ultimate very hard to use, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and one thing to note also is Turtle and especially you both had 5 assists in that fight. And also, Turtle, I do need to ask you about this. Going into this, you and Bjergsen were 1-2 in the LCS in kills, but because he got so many this game, he's actually passed you.
Yeah.
Despite playing 6 fewer games. How does that feel?
It feels pretty bad because all I do is get KOs.
So many assists, though. You have the most assists of any AD carry.
Probably. Yeah. Like, all I do is ult most of the time when playing Sivir.
I know when you walk up to the desk from over there, you're like, how'd you like my support AD carry? And I'm like, it's good. The duo support bottom lane there, working well for you guys. And I actually do want to press you guys a little bit more about the Dragon fight a little bit. We talked about you guys being such a good team fighting team, especially at Dragon fights. You just like, when you go in, you know, oh, this is a fight we can win, so we'll engage it? Or like, do you always know who's going to win when you go into a fight?
It really depends. Usually we try to first off get the good positioning, and near dragons you want to get positioned near the brushes so they can't really see all of the members as we engage, and that's really huge. Vision is really key when it comes to team fights. Whoever has more vision tends to win these team fights, and usually in these fights I'm like, okay guys, we need to fight, or I'm like, okay, I'm going in right now, and my team is like, there's that trust build up that they know that my engage is somewhat reliable, and they're willing to go in if I go in. Sometimes, I screw up. Sometimes, stuff happens. But overall, it's just that there's trust build up, and we're all like, all right, he's going in, I'm going in, and there's just that train, and we just kind of ram him in. And once you get into a team fight, it's just whoever needs to get out, just get out. And it's very simple, and I don't know. We've just been practicing a lot, and it's working out really well.
Yeah, and it continued to work out well. I mean, you guys obviously had a really big lead, but at the 20-minute fight, there was another nice fight I kind of wanted to bring up on the screen. And Turtle, since you were the AD carry support with all the assists. I want you to talk me through this team fight. And what were you calling to your team here? It's where X Special gets caught out, actually.
Oh, yeah. Especially got caught here, and then I'm like, we could just run back. And then I actually wanted to turn back in because I was chunking Cruiser, and Cruiser went like way out of position for no reason. And then we just ulted Kale here. But then X
Really
Special
nice combo.
died. I baited him, and then, yeah. So we got the easy Kale kill, and then X Special gets baited here. Gets a free death, and then, yeah, we just basically wait for Lulu to come in. And because when Lulu comes in, she has like the W on herself, so she's like really fast and just chases them all down, I guess. And yeah, she basically just cleans up everything, and I'm trying to KS some kills, but you see my Q on the Shamana here, but then he goes for the last E right there. He gets the kill, yeah.
That would have been yours.
Yeah, that would have been mine, and then, yeah.
Full steal. So at that point, when you're in clean up mode, you just kind of just look for whatever's open.
Yep.
Do you communicate like, you get this one, I'll get this one?
Well, I used to communicate, but Bjergsen's like, nope, I'm taking it anyways. And then, yeah, I just do the auto text now.
It's really rude.
One big thing that we do in scrims nowadays is that we actually don't play Silver that much. And that's because Hero actually wants to get some kills once in a while. And he gets very sad when he doesn't get many kills. And so at least we give him some kills in scrims. So in scrims, he might have the most kills. But here, he kind of has the most assists as an AD carry.
Yeah, and especially I do have to ask you, there was huge TSM chants all throughout this last game. What do you have to say to your fans here?
Yeah.
They support you every week.
A huge thank you. Every time we hear these fans, they come out to cheer, and we're like, we get pumped, actually. We can hear them slightly through our audio, and we're just like, all right, guys, you know, this is for us. And there's one specific fan, actually two, Jeremy and his girlfriend from New Hampshire that came out to support us today, and we met them earlier, and we just want to give a quick shout out to them since they have their their flight soon, and we want to end the game fast for them. So, yeah.
We got to see you guys close it out.
Well.
Yeah, guys, congratulations. Thank you for your time. See you, of course, next week for more games, but we're just getting started up here today. When we come back, Coast will look to climb out of the relegation zone when they take on CLG. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes.
Wait a little bit, I'm almost on this side.
We can engage our drums or
They're on it, they're on it. I'm ready now.
Cruisers, but
Multi now. Go.
I'm on Kiwi.
I'm on Kiwi. I'm on Crumbs. I'm
I'm ulting Turtle. Cutie.
Cutie pie. Cruiser. We got Ace. We got Dragon. Get Mitchell.
Yes!
Dragon. Okay, someone else go mid. We don't need everyone. Someone go mid.
Nice.
I can take him too, yeah.
Thank you for preparing me, Harrison. You're so good. Wow.